Hey guys, so today we're going to talk about place value through thousandths, and I'm on lesson 6. Today, remember, we're skipping those hands-on lessons, so we skipped 5, and we're going right to 6, which is on page 43 in your math book. Okay, so today we're talking about how a decimal can be greater than 1. For example, 1.5 is greater than 1 because there is a non-zero digit in the ones place. That means if I were looking at a number line and it started at 0 and let's say it ends at like 2, and here's 1, 0, 1, 2. In between the 0 and the 1, in between the 1 and the 2, in between the 2 and the 3, in between the 3 and the 4, and so on and so on and so on, there decimals. So between 0 and 1, we have 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, 0.5, all the way up to 0.9. Then we have one whole. 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, and really these are not like 0.1. This is 1 and 1/10, 1 and 2/10, 1 and 3/10, 1 and 4/10. 1 and 5/10, and so on and so on and so on until 1 and 9/10. And then the next thing after 1 and 9/10 is 2. So in between these numbers, there's like a bunch more numbers that we have to consider. So anything that starts with a 0 but has a decimal after it, so there's a 0 in the ones place and a decimal place after it, like a 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, that's between 0 and 1. But if it has another number in the ones place, like in this number, the number in the ones place is 1, and the number in the tenths place is 5. The number that is directly to the left of the decimal point is our ones place. So pay attention to that number today. It's going to show us where it falls in a number line. So 1.5 is 1 and 5/10. That falls between 1 and 2. So my messy, sloppy number line here, I got 1.5 is between 1 and 2. If I have 2 and 8/10, or 2.8, that's going to be between 2 and 3. Okay, so our first example says, 5 tree taps produce enough maple sap to make 1 gallon, or about 3 79/100 liters of syrup. Read and write the number of liters in word form. So first let's write it out on our place value chart. 3 is my ones place. That comes directly to the left of my decimal point, 3. 7/10 and 9/100. So 3 and 79/100. The place value of the last digit 9 is, the place value is hundredths. Use the word and for the decimal point. Okay, whenever we see a decimal point, we're going to say and. That's why Mrs. Armstrong is saying 3 and 79/100. Word form, 3 and 79/100. And wherever our last digit lies is the word that we say after our number. Circle the digit in the thousandths place. Look at that THS, thousandths. That means it's a decimal. Thousandths is over here. Then write the value of the digit. The thousandths place is how many places to the right of the decimal place. Here's the decimal place. Here's the right. Let's count how many places there are. 1, 2, 3. The thousandths place is 1, 2, 3 places to the right of the decimal place. The digit has a value of how many thousandths. This digit, how many thousandths is that? 7. Okay, let's try the next example. This example says, write 5 and 640 14 thousandths in standard form and expanded form. Okay, so we have to write what is in the ones place. 5 is in the ones place. So that's the first digit we're going to write. 5, when we see a decimal point, we say and. So 5 and, okay, 614. 614. So the 6 is in the tenths, because that's the first place right after the decimal point. The 1 is in the hundredths. Second place to the right of the decimal point. And the 4 is in the thousandths. We talked about that on the previous page. 3 places after the decimal point. And you can remember that by tenths is 1 place after the decimal point. It has 1 0 in 10. Hundredths is 2 places after the decimal point. It has 2 zeros in 100. Thousandths is 3 places after the decimal point. There are 3 zeros in 1,000. So that's one easy way to remember it. In expanded form, it looks like this. 5 is in the ones place, so 5 times 1, plus 6 is in the tenths place, so 6 times 1/10. 1 is in the hundredths place, so 1 times 1/100th. And 4 is in the thousandths place, so it's 4 times 1,000th. Circle the digit in the tenths place. The digit in the tenths place here is what, guys? This is guided practice. So if you were in the classroom with me, I would have done that whole lesson for you. We would have talked about it together, but then guided practice is, let me see what you know. So I'm going to give you some extra time here to try it by yourself before I just give out answers. So circle the digit in the tenths place. In the number 6 and 1400ths, which digit is in the tenths place? Okay, so 10 has how many zeros in it? 1. So the tenths place is 1 place after the decimal point. So here's the tenths place. So the digit in the tenths place, 1. Circle the digit in the hundredths place. Okay, let's look at it. 4 and 36 thousandths. Hundredths. Well, 100 has how many zeros? 1, 2. So that means which digit is in the hundredths place here? Let's see. 1, 2 places after the decimal point gives me 3. So 3 is in the hundredths place. Okay, next, write each number in standard form. Standard form is just like the normal way we would write a number, so just digits. 5 and 87 hundredths. Okay, so I see an and, which means I have a decimal point in here. 5 must come first since it's before the and. 5 and 87 hundredths. Okay, next. Expanded form takes like a little bit longer to figure out, but it's easy if you just break it apart. You look at it one at a time. You all know 2 times 10 is what? 20. So I'm going to put a 2 in a tens place. 6 times 1 is 6. So I'm going to put a 6 in the ones place. So here's tens. Here's ones. What comes after ones? We know now, a decimal point. 26 and looks like there's a 9 in the tenths place, a 1 in the hundredths place, and a 4 in the thousandths place. Okay, so once I just break it apart, I look at it one at a time. My number kind of just appears there for me. And in this case, it's 26 and 914 thousandths. And then the one that takes the longest is writing in expanded form. You can say it, and however you say it is how you're going to write it. So it says write 19.4 in expanded form, then write in word form. Okay, so we're going to do both. First, let's write it in expanded form. What do I have? What place is this 1 in? In 19, what place is the 1 in? It's in the tens place. So the first thing I'm going to write is 1 times, and you might have noticed now Mrs. Armstrong writes her multiplication symbols like this. And there's a reason for that. When you're in 5th grade, try to write your multiplication symbols in this way instead of an X, because later in the year we're going to learn something called algebra. And in algebra, we use X's for something else. So try to get yourself in the habit of writing your multiplication symbols like little stars. So 1 times 10 plus, where's the 9 in this number? The 9 is in the ones place. So 9 times 1 plus, what place is this 4 in? It's the first place after the decimal point, which means that's the 10ths place. So we're going to write that like 4 times 1/10. You can separate your places out with parentheses so it doesn't just look like a bunch of numbers mixed together. But this is how you write 19 4/10 in expanded form. Just go slow. Do one at a time. Really think about what place all of these digits are in. And then in word form, how would you say this? You would say it like 19 4/10. So let's just write it like that. 19 and, don't forget that and in the place of your decimal point, 4/10. Alrighty, today your job is to complete these independent practice problems. Remember, independent practice is all of the problems, usually for 1.5 pages, that fall under that green heading, independent practice. So in this case, it's numbers 6 to 23. Do the brain builder if you feel like you're up for the challenge, but it's not required. Then you're going to go answer the Google form questions that has some of these. I'm picking random problems from this page for you to answer in the Google form so you can show me what you know. All right, guys, good luck.